Hello everybody, and I'm here to talk about games, but not just any game, a specific game known as Anonymous Catcherd's Sandbox game. The game's actually just called Sandbox game, but I need to differentiate it from the other ones. This game was made by Anonymous Catcherd, and it was a great game. You could download it, but guess what? Now you cannot download it. To put it in his own words, this game was wiped off the face of the internet. But I still have it downloaded. Not the last version that ever released, but I do still have it. So it's time for me to review the game that you cannot download from the original source anymore. It's time to review Sandbox game. We are going to rank this great game using POINTZ. The Z is for trendiness. Points will be given out completely arbitrarily, just judging on however I feel. So this game is completely at the whim of me. Points may be given or taken away depending on compatibility, based on how fun the game is, or based on how cool the game is. Now, coolness is a completely different factor, which I will not go into and never will. Okay, first things first. Can the game run on Windows 7? Now, if it can't, this game gets an automatic 0 because I can't even play it. I'm never going to upgrade. But luckily for this game, it can run on Windows 7, so that gets 7 points right out of the gate for compatibility with my operating system of choice. Good job, Sandbox game. Upon opening the game, we are greeted with a main menu urging us to click 600 times. That's a little much, don't you think? You'd need some sort of auto-clicker in order to pull that off. But upon clicking start, we are greeted with 3 separate maps to play. There's lakes, flat, and pools. Not quite sure what the difference between lakes and pools is. Maybe pools is that cave backdrop. All in all, this is a good menu, but it could use a few more features, like a click 700 times pop-up, or a 4th map. This gets 8 out of 10 points for the menu. It's time to rank this game's 3 maps, starting with lakes. When you spawn into the lakes map, there is no water to be seen initially, and you think the map should have been called hills. But on the other side of this hill, you find a lake, which is deep. And when you go in the lake, you will learn that there are not any real serious swimming mechanics. But that's for the coolness section. The lake goes pretty deep to the point where you can no longer see the sky. If you didn't know where you were, you may just think that this was the sky and that gravity was slightly less. That is not the case. You are in fact deep underwater and drowning. If you keep going left, you can exit the lake and find another hill. How exciting! And after enough lakes and enough hills, you find this valley where there's no lake to be seen. Just a hole. And when you go in this hole, this is the underground screenshot. That was the lakes map. Now I'm just wondering what the deal with the pools map is. You can traverse the underground area and have a great time not knowing that the ladder exists. Just don't go too far left, it'll turn into the flat world. And if you keep going left, you'll hit the edge of the world. This game does not have infinite worlds. If you go the other way, there's a normal lake. But if you keep going, there's a steep drop, the beach, the ocean, and in the ocean is Atlantis. This map is awesome! This map is the best one we've looked at so far. The potential is amazing. You could build stuff on those hills, and you could build stuff across those lakes, and maybe even stuff in those caves. My only issue is that it turns into a flat world pretty quick before you even reach the edge. But I feel like this has a potential to be fixed in the sequel. Sandbox Game 2. All in all, good map. 9 out of 10 points, simply because I can't give it 10. The next map we are going to review is flat. It's flat. 10 out of 10. Now it is time for the third and final map. The very mysterious pools. I bet you're just as excited to see what pools is as I am, so let's see. You spawn in a flat area with giant cliffs to either side. And on the other side of these cliffs is water, and it just loops like that until the edge of the map. To me, this map feels like Lakes, but less interesting. I understand its purpose, which is to be a simpler Lakes, but if this is on the table as a map, anything else could be, like a mountains map where there's this stupid high terrain or something, or a canyon map where there's deep crevices that go way too far down into the ground. Anything is possible if this is on the table. This map is probably my least favorite one, since it isn't painfully utilitarian like flat, or fun to explore around and build in like Lakes. It's just kinda a mixture of the two. And it is a good idea to have this map here, but it makes the lack of more maps a bit more confusing. In terms of the increasingly vague points, I'll give this map 6.5 out of 10. It's not bad, but it does leave a little more to be desired. Wow, that sure was a lot of points. Let's tally up the points up to this point. Point. From compatibility, we have 7 points. From the main menu, we have 8 points. From lakes, we have 9 points. From flat, we have 10 points. And from pools, we have 6.5 points. If you add that up together, you get
40.5.
That sure is a number. Let's continue the review, and we'll see how many points this great game has by the end of this video. We've gone over the main menu, we've gone over the maps, now it's time to see what the game actually has to offer. At any point in the game, you can press escape to access the Great Pause menu. This menu's options are slightly limited, just resume and quit. You're not going to be delving through fun menus in this pause screen, but in order to actually spawn stuff, you need to press tab to access the spawn menu. The first tab you are greeted with here is the construction tab. This tab features 3 varieties of wooden planks, 2 doors, 3 metal beams, a bunch of colored blocks, and sand. That one's my favorite. The next tab is the electronics tab, which features 5 interesting electronical objects, including but not limited to a motor to power a gear, a battery, and a switch. The third tab at the bottom is the logic tab, which features 5 gates that allow you to do pretty complicated stuff with wires. You may be able to make a calculator with this. The next tab is the machinery tab, which has one thing, a gear. This goes round and round all day long as it's powered. And the last tab is the miscellaneous tab, which features one thing, a radio. I wonder what kind of music this radio plays. That miscellaneous tab icon looks a bit like a bucket of lava. In terms of points, I think these menus are pretty good. The pause menu could have more stuff, but in the end it does have as much as it needs. And the spawn menu is neat, I really like it. All the different tabs do a good job of organizing the stuff, but I'm not sure why the gear and radio have their own tabs. They could have both just been put in miscellaneous. I'm thinking 5 points for the pause menu, and 15 points for the spawn menu. If you thought that last section was a tease, well, now we're going to actually cover the gameplay. First, we're going to go over the controls and how it handles, and then I'm just going to talk about how fun the game is. Alright, before we go over the controls, you may have noticed this stickman barely ever leaves this box. Just thought I'd point that out. You control the stickman by using the A and D keys on your keyboard to go left and right, and the W key makes them jump. It handles about as you'd expect above water, but underwater, you suddenly go a bit slower. I'm not sure if gravity is affected or if physics is just slowed down, but it is definitely interesting. Swimming mechanics would be nice though. When placing an object, you use the left and right arrow keys to rotate it. Object placing works pretty well. All in all, I have no complaints there. Let us how the game handles. And I think it handles just fine. I have absolutely 0 complaints here. The controls and how it handles get 10 out of 10 points. How fun is Sandbox game? That is a very good question. Most of the time when I play Sandbox game, I just open it up, pick an item, and try to stack it as high as I can before letting the physics break while it falls down. Which that is pretty fun. This game has some really cool potential for neat things, like those gates and the wiring. Minecraft doesn't have true gates built in. The things this game can do are very cool, and it has a ton of potential. Just a bit more ironing out, you'll have a great Sandbox game here. It's already fun to explore around in. I did not know Atlantis was a thing in the game until I started making this video. In terms of funness, I give it 20 points. I think this game is pretty neat, and is definitely worth checking out if you could download it. Anonymous Ketchard said he's remaking Sandbox game, so hopefully the remake builds upon the idea while retaining what makes the original so neat. I feel like this game has great potential for the future. Now that we have counted all of the points, it is time to tally up all of them and see the total amount of points that Sandbox game gets. From the pause screen we have 5 points, from the spawn menu we have 15 points, from the controls we have 10 points, and from funness we have 20 points. That brings us up to a grand total of
90.5.
That's a great number, and the official points count of Sandbox game, given to it by me and my unmatched points giving skills. If you can, please consider posting feedback. I haven't made a video like this before and I want to know what I got horribly wrong. Bye!